I were to start my jewelry collection from scratch, knowing everything that I know now, these are the 3 pieces I would start with. The first piece that I would start off with are everyday earrings. Now, hear me out. This, of course, assumes that your ears are pierced, and I would say most women have their ears pierced, but stick around if either you're a man or you don't have your ears pierced, because I will be dropping a 4th alternate piece. In the everyday earring category, I have 3 recommendations. The first one, of course, is a stud. I love a diamond stud, but there are so many different types of stud. There are pearl studs. You can even do metal. Whatever type of metal or gemstone you're into, there's a stud for it. I like a stud because it's really low profile. I have 2 pair of diamond studs that I wear all the time. I sleep and shower, swim, everything in studs. I find them super versatile. Usually I have my hair down, but today I have my hair up so you can see the studs a little bit better. I love them. The next everyday earring I like is a huggy. Now, the reason it's called a huggy is it hugs your ear a little bit more than like a hoop. I think they're super versatile. I like them for people who think that studs are a little too plain, but a hoop is too big for day-to-day wear. These are some gold huggies that I got from my mother. They're vintage. You can definitely tell they're vintage because they're on the heavier side. Not like my earlobes are dragging, but they're just really substantial. Enough where I would never sleep in them, but if I had to, I could. I love a huggy because of the size and the versatility. The ones I have are just 18 karat yellow gold, but you can definitely get them with gemstones, diamonds, things like that. I feel like I've also seen pearl huggies. You can ball out. So my 3rd earring recommendation is a hoop. I love a hoop. I think they're super versatile. These hoops that I have are just really classic, just round circles. I love this size for day-to-day wear. I have another video on my 14 karat hoop collection, and it'll show you like all of the different sizes I have. I have a lot. I went overboard. Don't do like me and buy like 4 different pair of hoops and you only have 1 ear piercing. 0 stars, would not recommend. So these are my most worn pair of hoops currently. For a while I was into a really thin pair of hoops, but these just do it for me. They give me professional baddie. With your everyday earring, the one tip I would give you is go a little bit smaller than you think. Now, at first I bought a bunch of bigger hoops thinking, oh yeah, this is a perfect size. A hoop that's much larger than this is not the best for everyday wear. This is professional, but it's cute. Like I could wear this to an office and nobody's gonna look at me like, where are you going? I have the same tip for diamonds. Go a little bit smaller than what you think. I really thought that I needed 1 carat diamonds in each ear. When I was in my late 20s, I bought some Cuban zirconiums. I thought I liked them, and then after a while I was like, these things look really huge, and I was trying to wear them every day. It was too much. 1 carat diamond studs are larger than you think. You want to go smaller because it's competing with your face at this level. People are looking at your eyes and other features, and a big earring is going to compete. I think that's fine for a special occasion, but for every day, you want something that just blends in, that people can see a little sparkle. The one mistake I made in the everyday earring category was going cheap and having to upgrade over and over again. I mentioned that I bought cubic zirconiums in the beginning, which was fine. That's all I could afford. But I kept on buying a bunch of cubic zirconiums, and then I bought like some really cheap lab-grown diamonds. Then I bought a better pair of lab-grown diamonds, and now I finally have a pair of natural mine diamonds. I knew I wanted a mine diamond, and I probably should have saved up my money and bought them then, but that's another story. The other mistake that I mentioned earlier was I bought too many multiples. Like I have a bunch of hoops. I probably have 4 different size hoops that are similar to this. When it comes to hoops initially, you might even only need 2 sizes. One that's more everyday and one that's a little bit more razzle dazzle fun. Like 4, I end up only really wearing 2. So save your money, don't make my mistakes. So the main piece of advice that I would give my younger self is number 1, think about cost per wear. Cost per wear is basically the price divided by the number of times you wear it. So for example, if you buy a pair of earrings, if they're $100, but you wear them every day for 100 days, that costs you $1, right? In the beginning of your fine jewelry journey, I think the cost per wear is super important. The next piece I would start off with is a chain necklace. Emphasis on chain. So I feel like growing up, I always had some type of chain necklace. The chain that I'm currently wearing is a Roberto Coin Tiny Treasure Love Letters necklace. It's actually 2 chains. I took 2 different pendant necklaces and put them all on one chain, and I love it. I do occasionally just wear like the C or the M by itself, but I just like the way this looks. If you've watched any of my other videos, I used to wear them layered, where I had the C on top and the M on the bottom. I stopped doing that. Since the chains are the same weight, they often would get tangled together, and that just became a mess, and I was like, I ain't got time for that. Chain necklaces are super versatile. If you think of all your favorite influencers, almost all of them have a Van Cleef & Arpels vintage Alhambra pendant necklace. There's a few that have like the 10 and 20 motif necklaces, but the one common piece that you see people wearing is just the single pendant, and there's a reason for that. The reason I like a chain necklace is because they layer so well. The one piece of advice that I would give my younger self is to think about how things stack. If you start off with a chain necklace, you can stack so many different things on it. Currently, this is stacked with a herringbone chain. I love this herringbone chain, but I don't think it's a good first necklace. If you don't like little pendants, you can definitely do something like this little paper clip chain. Now I have 3 necklaces stacked on each other. And because they all have different weights, they're not gonna tangle as much as if they had similar weights. As I mentioned, stackability is really important. You want something that's gonna play well with others, but also stand on its own. These are your entry pieces, and your entry pieces you should be able to wear for the first year and just enjoy them, almost burn yourself out of them and add other pieces to it. So I used to buy things just all willy-nilly, and then when I bought additional pieces, I was like, oh, these things don't go together. I don't do that no more. Now I really think about how these items stack, because you want things that play well together. I do have some items that are very standalone, but I don't think that that's what your whole collection should be based off of. You want to be able to wear as much of your items together as possible. I purchased a lot of hoop earrings, and I only have one hole in my ear, so stackability isn't as important for me in terms of my ears. But if you're somebody with an elaborate ear stack, you really need to think about, like, hey, is this a good piece to begin my fine jewelry earring stack with? You want these items to grow with you. My mother is 70. She has a very extensive jewelry collection. I'm in my 40s. I have a decent sized jewelry collection, but now I'm at the point where I'm taking a look at a lot of the things I purchased and I'm like, why did I purchase that? One tip that I do have if you're getting a chain necklace with a pendant is to go a little bit larger than what you think you should do. Early on I was getting really small pendants, and what I found was that they just didn't have enough oomph. I think that's probably why I started wearing 2 pendants on one necklace, because I wanted a little bit more. With earrings, I mentioned you want them to be a little bit smaller because they're competing with your face, but because this is like lower, people are gonna probably look at your eyes and then look down, and so you want something that also will draw attention. That's just my tip. I own 4 of these Roberto coin necklaces. I used to have a white gold one. I lost that. It's a long story. I have the C and the M, and then I have a tiny cross. I love the cross, but I feel like the cross is too little. There is a larger cross that's been on my wish list for a very long time. I'm asking myself, do I need another Roberto coin tiny treasure necklace? And the answer is probably no. I need to buy some other things. The second item that I would start with is a chain necklace. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. The third item I would start my fine jewelry collection with is a bracelet. I know this is a controversial pick, but for me, it makes sense. Number one, bracelets for me are my first love. I mentioned I got my ears pierced when I was like 2 months old. I know my mother, when I was born, she put a little bracelet on my chunky little wrist. Same thing with my sister. I have always worn a bracelet. It's just normal to me. I love bracelets, I think because you can see them. I know people feel the same way about rings. Necklaces and earrings are more for other people, but bracelets and rings are for you to look at and admire and just smile. With bracelets, I think you can do so many different things. The cheapest type of bracelet you can buy, of course, is just a chain bracelet. I love those. In terms of price point, they're the best thing to buy. I also like bangles. I'm currently obsessed with my tennis bracelet, aka line bracelet. My one recommendation with bracelets is don't limit yourself. Try different things. I have a couple of friends who hate the Van Cleef & Arpels vintage Alhambra, the 5 motif bracelets. Growing up, my mother used to wear charm bracelets all the time. And at first I was like, I hate charm bracelets. Why is she wearing charm bracelets? Until one day my mother asked me and my sister, hey, can you bring my favorite charm bracelet from my safety deposit box? So we went to her safety deposit box and she had like 7 of them. So my sister and I, because we didn't want to bring the wrong one, we both had 3 to 4 charm bracelets on our bodies. I had 2 on this hand and 2 on another hand. My sister had 3 total. After wearing my mother's charm bracelet, I was like, I understand why people love the Van Cleef & Arpels 5 motif vintage Alhambra bracelet, because it's basically a big charm bracelet. One piece of advice is make sure you get a bracelet that you like looking at, cause child, I like looking at my tennis bracelet. Every time I see it, I'm like, it makes me smile. You're gonna be looking at it. This is the one item where I'm like, you better be slightly obsessed with the bracelet you buy. But that's just me. I mentioned the mistake that I had made previously was eliminating certain bracelet styles before even trying them. One thing about bracelets, you do wanna make sure you measure your wrist, figure out your size. You can definitely size a bracelet, but it's better to buy the right bracelet. Most of my bracelets are 7 inches. That's considered large for women. I see women with 5 and 6 inch wrists, not me. If you are thinking about buying a bracelet, make sure you do measure your wrist so you buy the right size. We all tend to think that our wrists are a certain size, but the ruler knows better. I've made the mistake of buying a bracelet that was like 7.5 inches. It was way too long and I couldn't get it resized. It reduced my enjoyment of it. For example, with the tennis bracelet, you pay more money if you have a bigger wrist. So this 7-inch tennis bracelet has more diamonds than, let's say, a 6.5. So if you want to save money, measure your wrist. Let me know what you think about bracelets. For my non-earring wearers, I do have a 4th pick. The 4th item that I would start my jewelry collection over with is rings. Disclaimer, I am not a ring girly. This Aura ring is my attempt to try to become a ring girly. Rings are difficult. I'm one of those people, when I wash my hands, I like to take my rings off. That is not good. I need to work on that. Y'all, I'm losing this Aura ring like every 3 days, like frantically tearing up the house lost. Now, I would say if you want a ring to be a starter piece for you, I would recommend a stacking ring. Stacking rings are rings that you can wear with other rings in the future. One thing I will warn you about is do not get rings that are too thin. I have a couple of stacking rings. Look at how bent up this one is. Oops, it slid off my finger and I lost it. So there's a lot of different types of rings. The reason I like a slightly substantial stacking ring is that it'll help you get into the habit of wearing rings. Because if you're not used to wearing rings, having something on your fingers is difficult. As a person who's had pierced ears her whole entire life, I do not remember life without earrings. So earrings are second nature to me. I always feel rings. I always feel like there's something on my hand, and when I wash them, I think a stacking ring is a good place to start, just because you can always grow that collection. With rings, you want to start off a little bit smaller and grow. With a stacking ring, I think you're going to get more cost per wear than you would do with like a statement ring. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a statement ring. I'm just saying it's a different mindset. If you just want a ring that you can wear on special occasions, then get a statement ring. You know, something that's really, really pretty, that stands out, that's special. I have a friend, her everyday rings are all statement rings. Most people have to grow into that. Very few people can put on a statement ring and be like, oh, this is comfortable, I'll wear this every day. But there's a lot of different rings you can wear. Like for myself, I have some stacking rings. You can get plain bands. The universal stacking ring for most people is just a simple band. I, of course, like simple bands with diamonds, but that's me. I've also seen people wear signet rings. I've been seeing a lot of people getting pinky rings and birthstone rings. My birthstone is a diamond, so you would see somebody like myself with a little diamond on their pinky or maybe on a different finger. If you are already a ring girl, then I think that this is a good piece to start with. It's just not me. I made this list about me and what works for me, but please do what works for you. The last piece of advice I would give myself is experiment cheaply though. Don't go to Van Cleef or Cartier and experiment. The place you experiment is H&M. I didn't know what I really liked until I tried it, either by borrowing my mother's jewelry or trying it at a cheap level. Don't limit yourself with jewelry, because there may be some things that you like totally feel like, oh, I've never wear that, I would never wear Van Cleef. And then you wear it and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I think for a lot of people that will happen. I know that happened with me with charm bracelets. That's the advice I would give to young 20-something-year-old Cathy and to anybody who's starting their journey. Those are the 3 fine jewelry pieces I would start my jewelry collection all over again with. Leave me a comment below about which pieces you would start in your collection. Make sure you check out my video that I did about buying diamond studs. I'm gonna link it here. All right, see you next time. Bye.